Good morning, everyone. Morning, the chair will call this meeting of Board of County Commissioners to order August 20th, 2026. First item on our agenda is to approve minutes of August 13th. Got a motion to approve?
So moved.
Seconded. Is there any amendments or changes to the minutes? No. Not hearing any. All those in favor of adoption, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the vote is unanimous. Okay, Mr. Bauer, we're gonna go off agenda for a minute and thought this in. So
Just so we can free up some time as part of the consistent policy of meeting with department heads once a month. I have two department heads from Riverside who are going to give us a briefing on what's going on. Who wants to start? Oh, good, Andrea, I saw your hand.
Good morning.
So what do you mind sitting at the table?
Good morning. I'm Andrea, the dietitian at the nursing home. Ray asked me just to speak with you this morning about a mini diet manual that I wrote for the facility. According to regulation, you have to have the national manual, which is this big one, but you also have to customize it for your individual nursing home. So I wrote a little mini manual, which you have a copy of. There also will be a digital copy that will be available. And this is distributed to all the nursing units as well as OT and activities. So if they have a question about somebody's particular diet or their texture or thick and liquid, they can flip to the page they have a question about, and it's basically a list. It tells them foods allowed and foods not allowed. Also, if we have family members that bring in foods for their loved ones, and there's a discrepancy between their food they're bringing in and their texture order, OT will actually use this manual to educate the family. They're certainly welcome to bring in any food they want for family members. We just have to provide education as a facility and document that we provided the education. So this serves in that purpose as well.
I read over it. Andrea was kind enough to send me a copy of the manual and I thought it was really a cool thing that, she condensed, the big book of regulations into something that's more usable and more practical for our families. So.
Very detailed.
Yeah, and it works out really well.
Yeah.
We've become, over the last few years, we've worked really hard between dietitian and occupational therapy for education of families. Because we found that, a lot of times, they would bring things in for the residents and I'm talking years ago, and they really didn't know.
yeah, right.
And since we've switched to the national, or I don't even know, it might be international.
It is international, it's worldwide.
Just go into that.
Sure, we call it ITSE for short, but it's International Dysphagia Diet Standardization Initiative. It's a worldwide effort to get all facilities, not just nursing homes, rehab facilities, hospitals, on the same page, not only using the same language for the textures and thick and liquid, but the really neat thing about it is it embeds ways to produce each different level. So before we transitioned Riverside over to this program, if one of our residents got sent out to Wentworth Douglas and had a texture change, when they came back to us, the occupational therapist had to kind of piece together what matched best in our facility, which increases the risk for the resident to have an aspiration event. Also, there was no standard how to produce the different levels. So a cook at Wentworth Douglas could make a puree and say, that looks about right. At our facility, we have 4 or 5 different cooks. So the morning cook would come in, make a puree and eyeball it. The lunchtime cook comes in and eyeballs it. And it could be 2 different food products. So with ITSE, it embeds ways to test the product, so it's a consistent.
System.
Yeah, so it's safer for the residents. It's harder for the staff to wrap their brain around. So that's why we did a lot of education with the staff.
So we've done ITSE for a number of years. Is it required of everybody? I don't think it is.
It is
It's not.
the state, when they do inspections, can cite the facility for not meeting standards of care.
Okay, so they do it that way.
They do it under that regulation, because it has been adopted by both the speech pathologist organization as well as the Academy of Nutrition. It's now considered the standard. And even in the National Mini Diet Manual, it's all ITSE now. There's no more National Dysphagia Diet.
Because when we first instituted it a number of years ago, it wasn't mandatory. But I think we could see it coming down.
We could, yeah.
Coming down and because Andrea worked in a prior facility and I know you didn't have that.
I did. I transitioned that facility over
okay.
in 2018. And when I came here, Wentworth Douglas was already using ITSE. That's why I knew we had to get our facility to match where we send our residents.
So that's worked out well, and I wanted her to produce a copy of that manual, so you guys would just have an idea that it's not just treading water.
Well, I remember when we first started down that road a few years ago, I remember when Dee came in with the dietitian and
OT came in
OT.
and talked about it.
Yeah, talked about it, yeah. Because it was, choking with all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a piece of it, and of course, the choking in and of itself is an issue, but it also leads to aspiration pneumonia,
Yeah.
and which can also be a really serious problem, so.
Yeah,
Super.
Thank you.
Nice.
Good job. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You're up, Jen.
Nice job.
Hi, I'm Jen Mantoff and I'm the.
Oh, come sit up here, please.
I'm the care nurse. I kind of just do a lot on prevention of pressure ulcers. We work as a team trying to prevent them. I follow up on skin tears and bruises and stuff like that to try to figure out what happened and how to prevent it from happening again. I have a nurse practitioner that comes once a week from a company called Advantage Wound Care. And we do wound rounds and we kind of brainstorm how to heal, especially our chronic wounds.
It's so hard, with the immobility of a number of our residents, prevention is the key. Because it's not, simple like, oh, I cut my finger, so, I'll put a Band-Aid on it, or maybe I won't, and in a few days, you won't even know you did it. It's totally different with, factoring in the age of the person, their immobility,
Other medical factors,
Yeah,
diabetes.
well, plus, nutrition plays a big role in
Yeah.
that also. Because there might be, an altered diet or an altered or an added supplement to help the healing, so. The coordination of all of that is a huge thing. But we like our affiliation with the company. We really like
Yeah.
our nurse practitioner, and the fact that she's gonna have a baby pretty soon is pretty cool too. We love babies of every size. And she's very nice and so it works out good.
I was looking through the handout before you go and I don't see vodka in here.
That goes under the thin liquid category.
Oh, that's another category, okay. All right,
Can you thicken vodka?
yeah.
Yes.
Does alter the taste. a little.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think I could drink that.
You can pour that on some wounds, I can tell you that. Well, thank you for your
Oh,
part.
wait, one more thing.
We did a mattress audit throughout the facility
Right.
the other day to make sure, just following up on everything that we had replaced. There's a few out there that need to be replaced, so we'll
We do.
be,
Yeah, we do have a current $10,000 budget
Yeah.
a year for mattresses. we're gonna sit down today and take a look at that and see, from our list, what we need to replace, and if it goes over, we may need to reapproach Ray and
Yeah.
let him know, but.
Okay.
You know, some of them also might be under some form of warranty, so we need to look at a variety of
Sure.
things, because if you remember, you guys authorized a fairly large purchase of mattresses, you know, last year, so we want to, you know, we want to verify that too, but you remember, we didn't replace everything,
No, I don't, we.
you know, so, you know, we'll just have to see how that goes. When, cause it's not just saying, oh, okay, you need a mattress, and a mattress costs this much.
Right.
You know,
The other thing, the other part.
mattress
is
type
that
might vary.
sometimes you know, taking a low bid on mattresses doesn't do you any good because the product's not durable.
Well, you guys, you know, helped us select and authorize the product last year. Our intention is to use the same company, which also helps us obviously if there was a warranty issue.
Right.
But that's also part of what we're gonna be looking at when they review things.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look forward to hearing that when you guys get it ready.
And I've asked the Jens, the director of
Yeah.
nurses and assistant director of nurses to come over today. Cause I wanted to announce, that our survey that we had in April, has finally, gone on to the official CMS website. And we are a 5-star facility.
That's awesome.
So it's these people, not me. But, you know, I've been checking every week, cause CMS is slow to respond, you know, when, as you can tell, we're what, 4 months later, but, it's in there, and if you look at it, you know, you open it up, you'll see that it recognizes our last survey. That's the key.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well, I
we
know
are,
during the survey, I know the staff works really hard to try to, you know, dot the i's and slash the t's and make the facility, even though it's an old facility, to
Yeah.
try to make it, you know. A lot of it matters what goes on in there, not particularly what the place looks like, and you know, if you go back before we had those kind of ratings from CMS, there was no real way of telling how well we were doing or not doing compared to other facilities.
well, you know now.
But you know now, right? So having a,
How many, Ray, how many 5-star facilities are there?
10%. So on a statewide basis, there would be 7. So what I call it, and this is just my old math term, it's not if you get this and you get this and you get this, you're 5-star. It's not like that.
Right.
It's comparing, it's called nursing home compare for a reason. That's what CMS calls it. And that means that families can go in and look and help them choose their nursing home based on the comparison of the nursing homes based on the comparison of the nursing homes in the region that you're looking at placing someone. So the easiest thing, or the way I did, is I just go in and if you go on the CMS website and specifically related to nursing home ratings, you can go in and you just put in the zip code. I just put in Dover zip code, and there's probably 15 nursing homes that come up that are in so many miles of that zip code. And you know, some of them are in Maine, all of them ones in Strafford County and stuff, but of the New Hampshire, there's approximately 70 nursing homes. As you know, a couple went out of business, and so there'd be 7, or I don't know if they rounded off higher or lower, so there could be as many as 8, but that's how it works. So that's a good way for families to be able to look at nursing homes and make a decision about the comparison of things. So congratulations.
Staff.
Wonderful.
It's a big deal.
It's a big deal. Just kidding.
No, they have to work an extra day.
Yeah, we can't lose it.
That's right, we can't lose that now, the pressure's on,
Yeah, that'll be that's the pressure.
Amazing.
Okay, well, great guys. Congratulations to you all and thanks for your hard work, dedication to not only to our residents, but to the people of the county. I know you guys try to squeeze a nickel every time you can, but in some cases we can't. And when we don't, it reflects in the 5-star rating. So, like the mattresses, for example, wound care, dietary, all those things. It all works together as a team to come up with an end product and
they're all really heavily inspected, as you would
Right.
expect.
right.
That's what survey's about.
Yeah. So thanks for coming in. I guess we
Thank
have,
you so
that's
much.
it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, yeah.
Thanks, guys. Congratulations to everybody.
Thank you. Yes, congratulations.
Okay. Let's move on. We'll get some upcoming events. And let's talk about the affordable housing update, for a few minutes if we can. I know Commissioner Levitt wanted to, he's been looking hard at the infrastructure that we have around the facility and, took that on as a kind of a pet project of his, being in the construction business, so.
We've identified a parcel of land over by the prison, which I think would be a good place for this. The infrastructure, power, sewer. I think it can work.
Yeah. So adjacent to the jail.
Yeah.
Kind of humorous in the sense that we didn't want to run that power back there.
Yeah.
And now it's
Instead,
down.
Now it's here.
we financially offered a subsidy to the Humane Society if they would move at the time we were running the power around, so we wouldn't have to run so much power to the back. And now it turns out that it looks like it happened for a good thing. Cause we offered, remember, Commissioner, in your direction, we offered him $50,000 because it cost us twice that.
Twice that
to Power
build the
back
power
there when
back
we were
there.
building the jail. So that we could maintain the Humane Society back there, but at that time they weren't ready to move.
Yeah, they were very, we even offered to build them a brand new building.
Yeah.
We offered to build them a brand new building back.
But, they just weren't ready with all of the other things that goes along with that, so.
Right.
Obviously now they've moved, so, but now that power can be used for, this purpose, so.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
And I know the sewer line's adequate, so.
Well, I support that we put out an RFQ, definitely put out an RFQ based on the concept that we've been working on. And hopefully next week we should have something available to show everyone. And we're hoping that this can be done without costing the taxpayers any money by working with a nonprofit. So I'm excited at the possibilities.
Yeah, I think that's the only way it's going to, it would work. If we, we kind of identified where we think it's gonna go. We might be able to get some payment, from some operator, back to the county as well. If it's nonprofit, it's not gonna be taxed, which is a good thing in this particular instance, because you don't wanna drive up the cost,
Right.
because you're trying to make it affordable, not only for, and that's why probably the RFQ is the right way to go, because you need to have somebody who's had some experience with this.
And if we could save on the land and taxes at a construction project.
Right, well, it's taxes, it would be taxes, it would be the infrastructure, because after you identified that, the adjacent jail, we're not gonna have any NIMBY problems. I don't have to worry about somebody screaming it's not in my backyard, because there's a jail in their backyard, so I mean. It's probably the best site based on what we have. There's no interference with the conservation district.
I was just gonna
Yeah,
ask if we could, I know that I did receive a call from them, somebody had sent them a newspaper article and asked them about, they implied that we just were moving ahead with building on the conservation easement land. And the young lady and I had a little terse discussion at the beginning, and then things softened up, and I promised her that if there was any consideration to put it on what is currently part of the conservation easement, that we would be in touch with them long before that decision was made.
Right.
So it ended amicably.
Well, that's
Like
good.
if we keep them informed.
I don't,
Well,
unfortunately, there was no parcel identified.
right.
Until you looked at the parcel, which there was no way for us to inform them of anything.
Yep.
Until the parcel was identified, and then we can match it up to the map and see that it's not part of the conservation.
That land over there that you talked about, was mentioned to us, whatever we constructed there would have to be multi-story because you just couldn't build enough units. It'd have to-
Absolutely.
Yeah, it would have to be a multi-story building of some sort. But we'll keep working on that.
It's a work in progress all the way through.
Yeah.
Right.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
With the initial plan, that, had been put forward for the nursing
Yeah,
home
right.
in the area next to Hyder.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a design of, because the intent was to build around the curtilage of that nursing home.
Right.
This is going back to
Yep, the original.
the original plan.
Yeah.
And so I bet you in our record somewhere, we'll have a design, a general design of a
Yep.
building.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, I don't plan on spending any money on this, outside of the commissioner's time. I might reach out to a number of people that I know and ask them for a favor. I mean, if they just came in with some concept plans, we have a concept plan for the curtilage around the first proposal for the nursing home. So this is not a new thing when you think about it. We tried to do that 4 years ago.
it was an effort to
Right.
offset some of the costs of
Some of
the
the costs.
nursing home by
Right.
us being able to draw some revenue, but
Right.
yet have some of the housing affordable.
Right.
It was part of the final
Bigger
plan,
Yeah,
but
And maybe the
Well, who-
state, who knows? I mean, they're pushing affordable housing. Maybe we need some financial out of that.
that's why I think the RFQ is the best way to go because
They know.
the people that are in this business that are, or the nonprofits that are out there that are in this housing business, like CAP as an example. Or the housing authorities, they know where the money is, they know whether it's New Hampshire Housing Finance or. Who knows, I mean, there's so many changes being made to the government all over the place, it's difficult to keep track of it, that's why you gotta bring in people who are in that industry. That know what they're doing, it's like hiring an electrician, you got, the days of somebody going and changing a switch are over because you got so many regs and so many rules you gotta follow. Must drive Dougie crazy over there with all the regs and rules.
But having the land in
So-
place, I think, is a huge step for us, for all of
Yes.
us. And speaking of the nursing home and having those plans, I mean, who's to say if we get a nonprofit in with us, who's to say that that's not the next step after the affordable housing? That we can't do something with a
Yeah.
nursing home or,
Well, maybe there's some partnership,
Some
some
partnership we could do.
public-private partnership
hey.
to
just
get
down
happening
the
with
road,
the nursing home.
getting way.
I mean, I think that committee,
So,
I think the committee that we had, the delegation had formed,
Yeah.
basically in their reports, there were two reports. When you read through them, they both basically say the same thing. They're basically saying that they don't think the county ought to be in the business, but on the other hand,
It's gonna be.
who's gonna be, number one, and number two, there should be some public-private partnership. When you really read the reports, they're both heading in that same kind of direction, but nothing of that will happen anyway till after the election to see what happens with, the statewide election and see what the temperature of the delegation would be to do anything, but you could use that model.
Right.
Which is basically what we did in the first nursing home plan.
Yeah.
Was to do a combination deal.
No, that was gonna provide some of the offset in expense.
Right.
You know,
Right.
that plus the 15 million that we had a signed contract with,
Yeah,
you know, with Gopher.
yeah, with Gopher, yeah.
And
It's too bad, because if we'd have went forward with that, or with two boat shop, had we had gone forward with that, it would already been constructed. And we'd have been off to see the wizard here if there would be other opportunities, but maybe something will come of this, and you gotta look at it from a positive perspective. Okay, that didn't work. I'm just like, Ray, remember the first time we went
the
to
jail,
the jail? Well, the second jail that I built, well, third jail, because it was the third time. We got turned down by the delegation for a $12 million bond. And at the time, we said to the commissioners and Ray, we said, well, there's another way to build a jail, but it's gonna cost us twice as much money. And the delegation said, okay, but we'll let you know. And it did. It came back and it cost us twice as much money. However, it was a better jail. And if we hadn't done that, we'd be building a jail today, another jail now. So there are, in some cases, it's in the public's interest to pay some more money upfront for something because you get a long-term benefit from it. And we're seeing that long-term benefit right now when we went from a $12 million business as usual model. The first time the delegation said no, we came back with a $25 million model, but it had the ability for us to do the things that we're doing today. With alternative sentencing, the medical, just the whole gambit. And the delegation ended up voting for it. You may have the similar dynamic here. They voted down the first time, and then we come back in with a different plan.
Yeah. But hopefully one that will save the taxpayers money.
Right.
If we do it with a nonprofit.
Right, and that's what happened with this jail. I mean, the
Right.
jail deal based on our federal contracts and working with our other partners with the state and other counties. We've probably taken in $100 million in revenue. The jail cost us, 30 million by the time we get done, right around 30 million, if I remember correctly.
yes, sir.
And we're taking in $100 million of revenue. Changed the way we're doing business, but it happened. And who knows, maybe Strafford County will be the first to do something different in this regard. And speaking of which, I got another piece of, you guys all set with the affordable housing right now, so we'll try to come back into something big from in that regard. I get a bit of old business that I need to talk and bring everybody up to date on. I was in touch, Easter Seals got in touch with me yesterday, letting me know that the homemaker services in Strafford County and their adult day program is gonna close in 30 days. They're closing down the homemaker services, which we paid for a portion of. There's a number of reasons for it. It's not Easter Seal's fault. They're losing $1 million statewide on their homemaker services program. They're gonna continue to provide VNA services because that's the only thing they can get paid for. Basically, homemaker services, adult daycare just doesn't pay enough money. And they were hemorrhaging almost $1 million. And donations have somewhat dried up as a result of federal changes in federal law, where you can only donate so much money, you can't write it off. There's all kinds of dynamics going on in the healthcare industry. But anyway, they notified me that they're going to be closing down its operation. Now, presently they have 40 people in their adult daycare program. They average about 15 people in a daily census, but the more important thing is they're serving over 200 in their homemaker program. That's gonna put a lot of pressure on nursing homes. Because without doing those homemaker services,
There's no way.
these people are gonna go back to nursing homes. Now, apparently, they've been working with HHS, as I've been told, since February on this. Try to come up with some plan, but HHS has decided that there's nothing they're going to do. The rates are gonna be what they are. Which it basically all falls back again to the legislature. And the legislature cutting taxes, without any idea of the ramification of what they're going. And they think that, well, okay, well, maybe we'll get rid of this and save money. You know, it's like pushing your finger in a balloon. You push your finger in a balloon over here, just it's gonna pop out over there. Problem we have though is this is gonna pop out to us, because the majority of those people that are on those programs are poor. Which is gonna drive our need for more nursing home beds. Not the brightest decision in the world, but you can't blame Easter Seals for it. They just can't. There's workforce shortages. There's post-COVID changes to the healthcare delivery system like we experienced with Hyder. It's no different. So what falls from that, remains to be seen. But I can assure you that with past history being a teacher, that the county is going to feel the pressure for nursing home expansion of some sort to make up that difference. And it's a lot cheaper to keep people at home than it is to take them in. But how that all works out, first of all, it's the states, this is the policy the states come out with. It's, you know, elections have consequences. This is one of them. So there's probably not much we could do at this point to even a system, even if we wanted to, because we're too far late in the year.
And I'm not.
We don't have the money to kick around. And I can tell you that also their board of directors asked the administration and Easter Seals for a sustainability plan. Or which is part of my question late yesterday afternoon. A sustainability plan. I asked their executive director for strategic planning. Had their board of directors discuss that, and she says at length they were discussing some form of sustainability plan, but it just isn't there. There's the rates that they're paying won't even pay for cover the cost of one aid. So you know, it's, to me, I think it's being done just to have it dry up on the vine and tell people you're on your own. But history has proven that that's not such a good idea. You know, it's penny wise, it's penny wise and pound foolish. That's what it is. So
I have met internally with, you know, when you called me, because you got a call, and I saw it on Channel 9 last night also, the 11 o'clock news, they announced that. You know, I've met internally with my admissions people just to
give them the heads up.
Give them a heads up, and I've also asked for separate statistic regarding people who communicate with us about potential admissions and who might indicate to us that it's as a result of that service not being available any longer.
Right.
And you're absolutely right, Mr. Chairman, the $80,000 that you recommend in delegation appropriates, just wanted to mention two things. That met the request of homemakers, meaning that they didn't ask us for more money and we cut them back.
Right.
It was,
Right,
you know,
they asked for
a different level of government. If they had asked us for more money and indicated that they would continue to support the service in Strafford County, you know, that might have been something that you all and the delegation might have taken into consideration. But as you said, it's too late now. I mean, we're into August, so.
Not only that, there are just so many changes in the healthcare delivery system that are going on with Medicare and Medicaid reimbursement schedules. There are so many changes being made that we're gonna go through a transition period. I hate to say it, but that's just my feelings on this. We had the situation with Hyder. You know, now you've got homemaker services, you've got adult daycare. All of those, many of those things could have been solved if we had to have stepped in, if we'd have had the new facility, because we looked at providing PACE, which is a program for the all-inclusive care of the elderly. part of that new nursing home proposal was to run a PACE program. Now, we could have absorbed some of this internally for very little money in the new facility. Like adult daycare, for example. Um, uh, and I wanted to do that 25 years ago. Ray, you'll remember this, I wanted to run adult daycare program. Because you've got to give families a break here somehow. You just can't cut this program. This program gets cut off. We're gonna feel it. The county's gonna feel it because you're gonna have a long waiting list and the phones are gonna start ringing and you need to give families a break. They need a break, and that's what adult daycare did.
They need to work.
They need to work and they need to be able to, want to take care of their loved ones at home, but they also have to work. So you either gotta pay them to stay home somehow in some program, which we do under CFI now. We've got the new CFI program. That was started under Tumpus's reign and apparently, as I've been told, that they reached out to the CFI providers, the Choices for Independence, that's what that stands for those who don't know. The Choices for Independence, and none of those main providers right now, there's only 2 left in the state are willing to provide these services. Because there's no money in it.
Well, it's worse than no money. Homemakers made it very clear to us every time they did a presentation to the subcommittee that they were utilizing services that they made a profit. I mean, and that's a bad terminology.
But they were making money to
They
offset.
they're making revenue in excess of expenses.
Right.
And they were using that to subsidize the programs that they were losing money on, like homemakers and adult daycare. It's just that now it's just not possible to do anymore. The numbers are too big. They can't hire anybody because they don't pay enough, and they don't pay enough because they don't get any reimbursement. So, they say there's a shortage of employees, but the shortage of employees is driven by the fact that they're not being paid, and they can't afford to pay them.
Right.
So it all comes down to, the level of Title 20 reimbursement, that we subsidize. And to drive home your point even more, Mr. Chairman, our contract with homemakers is such that we don't just give them X number of dollars per person. They're reimbursed on a sliding scale based on that person's income. So the fact that first, that 80,000 that we give them do go to the people who are most financially disadvantaged. And those are the people that are going to be looking at Riverside because they're going to be qualifying for Medicaid. And no one else is gonna take them because of the Medicaid reimbursement. And that's gonna put more pressure on us. As you know now, I only really have one private pay person. I just did the statistics yesterday because those statistics are applicable for the $2+ million grant that we're applying for the windows, the roof and the boiler, at Riverside. So those, so the statistics of those we serve are one of the scoring factors in the grant. So Diane and I Diane's been working on it, and we spent Monday, a good period of Monday putting together the statistical pieces. I mean, we have how cold the windows are. We have all of that. What we don't, what will help us in the scoring of the grant is how many Medicaid people we serve. Right. So we broke it all down on a percentage. Also, when you count those areas that have been identified by regional planning as being financially disadvantaged, and this is a deceptive thing, but I'm gonna say it anyway and then put a proviso in there. 24% of 24.1% of the people that we admit to Riverside have been identified as coming from the northern part of the county, and I'm not saying that everybody in the northern part of the county is financially disadvantaged. I'm saying that that's a statistic.
It's the statistic, right?
And that doesn't count the people who might have transitioned to supported public housing in
Right, Dover.
Somersworth and Dover.
Right.
Because, you know,
But that's the only place where it's offered, so they moved there. That,
you know, I don't have any way of getting into their records to find out where they lived before, you know, so our records would simply show they came from transitional, you know, they came from some form of supportive housing. So I suspect that the number's even greater than that. But that's a number I can easily identify. Diane and I, as I said, worked on that on Monday.
well, one of the things I, was,
Provided
you know,
that's
when
what
I got that news, I was trying to figure out, because I went down this road decades ago. We asked homemakers to run a day care program, and they agreed to it. But they have been, you know, fundraising and getting donations and all this stuff for many, many years. I guess the point, I was trying to think what we could do to soften that blow, but there's, based on the fact that we're gonna do the window project in the nursing home, we're gonna have to shut down sections of our nursing home to move people while they're doing that. We're gonna have to use unit 3, and you're gonna have to, so we don't have the physical plant to be able to help any of these people.
In fact, Becky and I talked about that yesterday.
Because of that problem, okay? If we did, if that was all done, it'd be a different, maybe it will be a different dynamic, because we're gonna have to be moving so many people around. We don't have any physical, you know, asset that we could use to do that.
You know, and I've thought about it, because I've been constantly thinking about how to do that, and I think some of that's gonna depend on the vendor. You know, that's selected bid wise,
Right.
And here we're specifically talking about the windows. You know, obviously, we're not gonna do in the middle of winter. I mean, that's
Right.
lunacy.
That's what I say.
You know, we'll try and pick that, you know, by the time we're hopefully awarded the bid and the products are ordered.
there's a
and
downtime for
arrive,
that.
and we have 23 months from the date of our award to complete those if we get funded for those 3 projects, we have 23 months.
Yeah,
to
and always
complete
to
it.
go to bid, and you're gonna have to determine that.
From what they're saying, is gonna be a November 1st award date.
Yeah.
And we'll have 23 months from there, so, they know, and it's required by the grant anyway, that we have to go out to bid for those items, so the roof is pretty easy. We've had a full identification and right up on the roof, which Dougie was smart to get when they did the roof in this building. The boiler, that's pretty easy, cause we've replaced one, you know, in the past, and the windows will be a little more difficult, although Dougie met with a window company and got some information. That's the only one that we really we're gonna be working on to develop a good bid spec. And then we're gonna see based on the bids, how
Yeah,
they're
the dynamic.
proposing, because we'll have to write that up in the bid spec about how they're proposing to install the windows. And how that will then impact us moving residents. I'm not exactly sure how I'm gonna be able to move anybody off unit 5 or unit 1 to another unit, because it's not equipped. I mean, we don't have alarms on unit 3, we don't have
I know.
any of those
I know.
things, so. And moving people who suffer from dementia or who are
Yeah.
suffering from the behavioral challenges that we have on unit 1 it's not gonna work. I mean, we're gonna have a severe decompensation from those residents.
Right.
Particularly from unit 5.
Yeah.
And
You know, but the work's gotta get done, so we'll have to figure it out, right?
well, that'll be part of the RFP.
Right.
You know, we'll have to.
Yeah, I know,
It might cost us a little more, but you know, for them to do it, you know, in a short period of time.
We've got about 4 minutes to go before we're gonna have to wrap up our meeting, so why don't we move since we got no other older new business I'm unaware of. Why don't we go to questions or comments from the public? Any questions, Susan?
Can we just go back, because you used an acronym, CMS?
Yeah.
Center for Medicare and Medicaid.
Okay,
Yeah.
and we got the 5-star rating, is that based on the 70 nursing homes within the state or just the county nursing home?
Oh, no, 70
The
nurses.
70, that's what I
And
thought.
actually, all nursing homes across the country there.
No, well, but in
There
terms of percentage, the theory of the five-star system is to
You have
help.
30 seconds.
Yeah.
The theory of the five-star system is to help you pick your local nursing home. So it's only New Hampshire. I made it.
You did it.
I'm not good.
I'm gonna use that line down the road, okay?
All right,
luck.
I didn't mean to be disrespectful.
No, you weren't.
And I knew, I heard about the Easter seal thing, Tuesday night at city council, and it started rattling around in my brain. I'm assuming that you're still going on with Hyder and trying to resolve that. If by any chance, and God forbid that that should all collapse and fall through.
Mhm.
Is there, what's an alternative plan to use that building?
You could do that, but the cost of.
I know, it's the cost and the reimbursement. And you also, I know we had discussed, or you guys had discussed a couple months ago, the counseling that's being done over at Rockingham, because we didn't have space here for that.
Yeah.
So there's some juggling and there's some things I see that could be done. But we're constrained by space.
You don't have the space.
We don't have the space.
You don't have the physical, you don't have the physical plan here to do that. And for us to, it wouldn't make sense to us to subsidize adult daycare to an extent where we couldn't subsidize hospice care. It doesn't,
The numbers aren't comparable.
right.
They're much
They're
less, obviously.
much less. But
But
Yeah.
I also would caution you that if, I don't know specifically under what program adult daycare is funded,
right,
but if it's funded under Medicaid, we
Yeah.
can't subsidize it.
right,
You know, if you accept a client as
right.
under the Medicaid program, you cannot accept additional money towards the care of that client.
There would have to be some homework done on that, and I did ask the executive director from Easter Seals to send me the financial breakdown of their losses and how it was being operated, just so at least we would have that to see if there's some way we can work it in, but generally speaking, if Easter Seals can't do it, and that's a big
They're
fundraising.
huge.
They're a big fundraising organization. If they can't do it, it's gonna require, and the government's not willing to pay for it. That's the bottom line. The state's not willing to pay for it. And they've made a policy decision. They don't want to pay for it. Okay, great.
So
So,
you got more information than what I was given Tuesday night, that within 30 days. So that means
October
in
21st.
October 21st. So in theory, when this really hits with those families,
Yeah,
the phones are gonna start ringing over at Riverside
or hospitals. I mean,
or at hospitals.
It just,
everywhere.
it doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense. That's the part that, but first of all, I want to think about it. The state doesn't care. Because they don't care, because they're not gonna feel the pressure. The pressure's gonna be felt by us and by hospitals, okay? That's where the pressure's gonna be felt, okay? Which only further exacerbates with Douglas's problem and Frisbee's problem, which means I can assure you that Mass General, the folks that operate Wentworth are gonna wanna use Hyder because it uses to try to decompress the pressure that they're under. In that regard, so. I don't see the Mass General agreement going anywhere at this point, but I could be wrong. I'm not saying it can't, it could go south, but I'd rather doubt it because it's a financial issue. This is all about finances.
Everything's about money.
It's about
That's what
money.
makes the world go round.
That's it. It does. So anyway, we'll have to just sit back tight. I'll get the information on the finances. But without the big players, in this case, the state, without the big players that are involved.
It's more than the big players. It's
Yeah.
their responsibility.
Right, that's correct. It's not ours. Right,
You know, it's
What-
their responsibility.
the state Medicaid plan says it is their responsibility. They don't want to, but they just don't want to do it. So there you go.
Okay, last question.
Yeah.
Probate, where do we stand with that?
Still awaiting a
Still
response
waiting
to
for
the
that.
that.
response, and I heard that. Well, they're gonna be vacating the district court in Rochester, and. I think that the city's gonna take ownership of that building in
Yeah.
December, so
Cool.
that means that. This is gonna be vacant. And do we have anything lined up for that, or is that just?
Well, we talked preliminarily about what we were gonna do. I figured we would just wait to see what happens with the court and how they wanna handle it, because we still operate a superior court system here.
Exactly.
And if they get backed up, they've got another courtroom they can use, because we had renovated multiple courtrooms upstairs in the past at the county's expense to keep them here. So, that's just gonna have to be a wait and see kind of a situation, in terms of what happens there, because they'll stop paying their rent, which is not a lot of money anyway, but.
Well, I didn't, when the lease that you all approved and we negotiated, we're gonna be fine this year.
Right.
Because there was a rate
Right.
increase,
Exactly.
starting July, and they are, continuing to pay us for probate.
Yeah.
It will impact us next year,
Next year.
although
Only half the year potentially. It depends on.
it's just, they say they're gonna be on time. I just read something in the Union Leader that says they're continue to be on time, so, we'll just handle next year's situation. When the budget comes to.
All right, any other questions? We're getting a meeting with the Sheriff's Association.
We gotta get rid of our.
We gotta get rid of all our equipment. Yeah. Someday we'll be able to afford another set of. It's not.
Another owl.
All right, so, Chairman, made a motion to go to non-public session for purpose of discussing personnel and contract negotiation. It's been moved and seconded, roll call, Commissioner Feliciano, Commissioner Levitt, myself, yes, the vote is unanimous. Commissioner, we're tied in non-public